What is more powerful? Fearing the judgment of others or accepting yourself no matter what? Because you know who you are and you know your worth. And that worth is not contingent on the approval or validation of other people. Is it more powerful to need constant distraction with social media or TV or radio or noise or people, or to be able to sit with yourself in silence all day long? Because you're comfortable with your internal world. You can hear all the thoughts and face them. You can be with all the emotions and feel them with consciousness. You're not scared of what's inside of you. And what's more powerful, denying that deep feeling because you're too afraid to feel it or claim it, or pushing down that deep soul truth that is asking you to make a change because you're afraid of the discomfort, or saying yes to yourself because you know that your soul is worth it and you're willing to move through the discomfort because you matter that much and you know that you are not limited to this physical plane and that your soul is eternal and your soul will guide you through the discomfort. And the reality is, when you say yes to your soul, you are fully alive and you actually start living instead of deadening the world inside of you and seeking aliveness outside of you, when the reality is we have it backwards. We're taught to reach for the external to have a good internal state. And that's not how it actually works, which is why most people are walking around half dead. Because in order to actually experience what you want to experience, that beautiful, healthy relationship, that intimacy, the sexual liberation, the deep knowing of who you are and your worth and your power, to feel comfortable expressing your truth, all of that is internal work. All of that is you being you by having the consciousness, by developing the self-awareness, the self-knowledge. Because you're not afraid of yourself and you're willing to face yourself. You're willing to be with yourself. You're willing to hear yourself. You're willing to see yourself. You are willing to know the depths of you and do the work to become aware of the thoughts, aware of the beliefs, aware of the emotions, aware of the feelings. Get to the root. Pull out the ones that are not you, that are not actually aligned with your soul truth, because you know how to connect to your soul truth through your womb, through your heart, through your body, through your essence, through your beingness. And do the work of aligning all parts of you into one whole. We are so conditioned to step outside of ourselves to go get that thing, to go get that power, to go get that validation, to go get that approval. I know, because I used to live my life that way. When I was a criminal prosecutor, I had a lot of power to literally put people away for 30 years. The last person I put away, over 30 years. For a lot of securities fraud. I had a lot of authority granted to me by the state. As an attorney, people expected me to know the answer. And I felt that made me powerful because they looked up to me because of my degree. The reality is, as soon as I chose to leave the legal profession to trust my own soul calling, to go on a spiritual pilgrimage, to do the kind of work I do now, which is deeply soulful, embodied work around true power and sovereignty, I realized that my power granted to me from that position I was in didn't travel with me because it wasn't true power. It could be taken away. True power exists within you. It can never be taken away. You can give it away. You can give your power away to other people when you let them decide whether or not you matter. You can give your power away to other people or to money, for example, right? If you let money be the thing that decides what you do instead of trusting a soul yes, or if you don't speak your truth to somebody because you want to make them feel really comfortable and you don't want to hurt them, you're giving your power away to that person and you're putting them above you. Also did all of that until I started to realize after I left the legal profession, oh, wait a minute. I thought I was a really powerful person because I succeeded in all those traditional ways and I had that role, but my role doesn't determine my power. What do you think gives you your power? Is it the amount of money in your bank? Is it your position at work? Is it the way your partner loves you? What do you think gives you your power? Because the reality is, if you think anything outside of you gives you your power, it's not true power. True power is claimed. True power is the power of your divinity. True power is you knowing who you are, and it doesn't depend on any external circumstance. True power is based on your internal state, your internal alignment. And it took me going through a pretty traumatic relationship, very deeply karmic, and taking in the opinions of others in the same way I'd always done as an attorney. Oh, you decide if I'm good. You decide if I'm worthy. You decide if I'm valuable. I did the same in a relationship. It's just that it wasn't always so positive. I was too intellectual and too charismatic and too much this, and I desired too much, and I was too passionate, right? And I took all that in also because I was so used to letting everything come in from the outside world, what other people thought, bad or good, because I wasn't allowing myself to know my true power and radiate that out and not accept what was no longer in alignment with me, not accept other people's opinions of me, not accept their truth because I knew my own. And that was the buffer. That was the boundary. That was the light coming out instead of taking in the darkness. Internal work, internal state. That's why self-knowledge is the key to freedom. Because the more you know yourself, align with yourself, come into union with yourself, the more you're in your power, the more free you are. And as I started to go into my body, right, because my mind was keeping me in all these old cycles, right? All my worth is dependent on X, Y, Z. My value is dependent on X, Y, Z. Everybody else in the world's telling me that. Everything on social media is telling me that. Most of the stuff on YouTube's telling me that. Everything I read's telling me that, right? Oh, you should have this much money. You should have this kind of job. You should be doing this kind of thing with this kind of house and a picket fence and a couple of dogs and a couple of kids. And then somehow you've succeeded in this life. And oh, wait, it could all be taken away in an instant. Don't worry. You'll have something else external that you can grab onto to make yourself feel good. Oh, yeah, like food or alcohol or drugs or whatever it is. None of that's power. How do you feel when you sit with yourself alone? How do you feel about you? What do you do with your truth? Do you listen? Do you honor it? What's your relationship with your body? Because if you're living from your head up, you're definitely not in your power. Why? Because your power is through your divinity, through your sovereignty, through living according to your soul's truth. And guess what? None of that's going to be purely in your head. Now, there's a difference between your consciousness and your ego mind. They are not synonymous. So your consciousness enables you to go into your body, enables you to do the alignment work, enables you to think and feel. Your ego mind is based on separation and very limited, purely physical, right? It's purely human self. Your consciousness allows you to merge your human self with your divine self and then create that level of awareness so that you can do the deeper work of embodiment. But your deep soul truth It's going to come from inside. It's going to come from inside your body, inside your heart, inside of you. Yet so often, I know for me, in order to even access my soul truth, I had to learn how to connect with my body, release the shame that was stopping me from connecting with my body, because I just saw my body as an object. I didn't realize my body is pure energy of my soul. I had to get past all that shame and all those fears of connecting and all the discomfort, the fears of feeling, the judgments of feeling, go through all that muck that I'd taken in, and then start to connect and then decipher, is this my truth? Is this not my truth? And do that inner work. And then what is my truth? And how do I align that to this new level of consciousness that I'm a soul, I am eternal? How do I then align that and do that? And then bring that into my life and choose based on that. It's one thing to have all these spiritual concepts in your head, or all these ideas in your head. Beautiful. It's a first step. But then you have to take that down into your action, into your life, into how you show up in relationship. How would your relationship be different if you stopped acting like a purely physical being, or giving that person power over you or authority over you because you fear their reaction, or you want to make them comfortable, or you don't want to hurt them, or you're afraid of what they're going to think, or they might reject you, or they might abandon you, right? They might not like your boundary. And I say all this with a lot of compassion, because I did all that to, oh, what if I show up as a divine being? How does that change my relationship? How does it change how I show up at work if I walk in with my divine worthiness? How does that shift the old fears that used to keep me in bondage and captive to old ways of being? How does that affect the way I talk with my family? That's all your internal state. See, the job doesn't have to change. The partner doesn't have to change. Those things can change if it's in alignment with your soul truth. But here's how we got it wrong. We look externally. If this thing in my life changed, then I'll be free. Well, when this things happen, then I'm going to be in my power. Well, I'm going to be worthy after this. I'm going to feel safe after that's done. After I get X, Y, Z. What if you could already be that now? Because the truth is, you already are. It's a matter of consciousness. You have to attune to that, embody that frequency, and choose it. Choose to live your life in accordance with that. And that is your power. A power no one can take away from you. You can stand in your power. I've done this too. Somebody is looking at you, saying pretty horrible things about you, thinking you're pretty bad. And you know how pure and holy you are. And you're human, and that might hurt. That might not feel so good that someone you love is treating you that way. But you're not going to take it in, because you know who you are. And you are so anchored into your worthiness. You are so anchored into your truth. It's okay if no one else in the world understands your truth, because you understand it, and that's enough. That's power. Everybody else shames your sexuality. That's okay. What if you don't? Everyone else thinks you're too much. That's okay, because you don't. You don't. You decide. That's your sovereign choice. That's you and your power. And so all of the work that I've done for many, many years now, and I guide my clients into, is to pull your power back inside of you. All the ways you give it away. Pull it back. Pull it back. One belief at a time, one emotion at a time, because your feelings are not who you are either, right? They're beautiful guideposts. And you align it all to love, all to your divine truth. And then you get to radiate that out into the world. And that's how you create real change. Not by convincing anybody of anything, not by making them change so you can feel powerful or you can feel free. Because you already are. So how do you show up today knowing you are already that? You are already powerful inside. How do you shift your internal state? How does that show up in what you do in the world and what you do at night? Are you just scrolling mindlessly, distracting yourself from your internal world? Or are you actually cultivating this relationship with you? Because your relationship with you determines your relationship with every single other thing and person and situation in your life, which is why your power is in you, in union with you and the truth of who you are. To me, that's what that means to embody your soul, to be in your sovereignty. All starts within. So a couple of opportunities. Maybe this is enough. I also have Ecstatic Soul Embodiment coming up April 22nd to really guide you through this awakening of divine perception, opening your heart, coming into your body, connecting to your truth, anchoring it down into your daily lived life experience so that you are in your power and your sovereignty. Because it is a journey I am honored to be able to guide people on. So here's to you and your power. Jessica Falcon, The Path to Sovereignty.